Hi everybody, welcome to our Coffee with Conti show, talking Corvettes, and we're short of the coffee, so let's go get some. Oh, you guys like this beautiful fabric picture of the C8 convertible? I actually have a 6-foot by 8-foot picture that we're gonna give away on this channel. Make sure you're a subscriber. It's gonna be it's gonna be a brain buster, but it's gonna be fun. It's always fun on this channel, come on, because I really need some coffee. How you guys doing today? Well, hey, the coffee's this way. Do appreciate you guys joining us, and I'm sorry I'm getting a little later start than I wanted to. I told you in the last couple of uploads that we were going to be really busy, and yesterday it was. In fact, check this out. Phil got his red car. He's at a car show today. We'll be sharing the results of the car show and just him out there showing off his car in future uploads. And here is David and Sherry getting their Long Beach red car. And yes, Dan and Kathy, look at those pants. Oh, Kathy, you are so much fun. They got their beautiful Shadow Gray car. And as we're trying to deliver these cars yesterday, they just generate crowds of people just curious and seeing the C8 for them the very first time. And toward the end of the day, Tim and Joni came into the lot and bought the 19 Elkhart Lake blue car that we literally just got in. Now, if you're in the marketplace shopping for a used Corvette, you know exactly where I'm going with this. You've probably experienced it. Just got in, just sold. That's what's happening. You find the car that you want that may have the options you want, that's clean, and it fits the budget. Don't even blink, don't even think about it, because just like that, they could be gone. In fact, when Tim and Joni were in the finance office paying for their car, two guys actually pulled up and said, "Hey, is that the 19 Elkhart Lake blue Corvette?" Then they saw the sold sign on it, and he goes, "Didn't you just get that?" And I said, "Yeah, we did, and I apologize. It's sold already. The people are in the office paying for it right now." And that's pretty much what's been going. Hey, you guys made coffee. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. Boy, I need this, and no watering it down today. That's right. Give me a full cup of coffee. So in the used marketplace, that's what's happening. In fact, here's another quick story for you guys. I had some people come in the other day looking at one of the used Corvettes. Didn't quite fit the bill for them as far as options and so forth. Actually, I need just a little bit more cream here. So they were also looking at a 2019 Grand Sport that we had. Oh, hang on a second. Now it's a Coffee with Conti show. Oh my goodness, I really needed this, especially after yesterday. So the only way they could make that Grand Sport work is if they traded their Dodge. So he leaves, calls me about 10 minutes later and says, "Hey, you know what? We're going to grab something to eat. I think we're actually going to look at that 19 Grand Sport when I get back." And I said, "Man, just like we were talking about." Now, the salesman came in 5 minutes later and grabbed the keys and had it sold. No, I wasn't happy about that, because I wanted to be the one that sold the car, because I sold it originally. I always like to have that history follow on and tell that story. And he goes, "Man, I was just there." And that's exactly what this market has been like, and I think pretty much for the next year, if not a little bit more. That's our Corvette marketplace. You find one you like, if it fits in the budget, it's clean. That's the key. It's got to be clean. There's been so many people out there I've been talking to with used Corvette purchases that they're thankful that we're telling them exactly what the car is, because they've looked at others elsewhere. And, well, you guys know, I mean, they're not even close to what they're representing. So thanks again for joining us today, guys. Let's have some fun. And the gentleman that we featured last weekend, Gregg from California, also come up with an incredible idea, something that I guess I never really thought about, and how hot it actually gets back in the hatch area by the engine bay of your C8 Mid-Engine Corvette. So Gregg actually conducted a detailed experiment, and with his results, of course, on me, I find a silly way to have fun with it. I've got a little commercial spoof for you guys at the end of today's show, but let's talk to Gregg and find out how he gathered this data. All right, so on the phone is Gregg from California, and yes, folks, this is the Gregg that we featured on Coffee with Conti last Sunday. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing awesome. How are you?
Hey, it was fun to share your journey and just all your silliness last week, and I think we'll have some more to come in future vlogs, but it's good to be talking to you now, man.
Good talking to you, too.
Well, people see from the thumbnail me holding melting ice cream, and I'm hoping that's not where you got the idea to come up with this experiment and how hot it gets back there in that storage area by the engine bay. So where did you get the idea to do this? Because I got to give credit where credit is due. Today's show is thanks to your idea. I really appreciate having the opportunity to share this, but where did you come up with this, man?
It was basically we were my wife and I were taking the car. We were going to a park to meet with friends, and it really wasn't a very long trip. But when we got there, I went to take the chairs out of the car, and the metal on them was super hot. I'm thinking, man, I don't know if I want to put anything perishable or anything that's subject to, that would be subject to heat in this thing.
Unless you were trying to cook something, I guess, but I mean...
Well, yeah.
Right. Oh my gosh. Now, I'm going to show the folks the results of your data, which is a drive that you did over the weekend, and then the drive home where you did a little bit more spirited driving, and those results are just astonishing to me. Folks, hang on a second. You're going to love some of these graphs that Gregg gave us, but what I'm looking at right now is what you used to gather the data. What is all those wires back there?
Yeah, so the device that I use is called a Fireboard. It's basically fireboard.com. I use it for when I smoke, briskets or anything. Yeah. And it's a very accurate probes that you can use for that. And you can do up to 6 probes, and then as you can see by the graphs, it data logs everything. So what I did, basically, I used 5 probes. I used 1 for the engine bay that I just wire tied to one of the cables for the magnetic ride, suspended on there. And then I used 2 on the upper part of the trunk, and then 2 on the lower part of the trunk to try and get what the variance was between the different areas within that space.
Yeah, that's really well thought out, and there was a lot of variance in those temps, but overall, like you said, it's just too hot to put any type of food in there for any length of time.
Yeah, I wouldn't put any food or medication or anything like that in there. Maybe just a quick trip to the store down the street kind of thing, maybe be okay. But other than that, no, absolutely not. Just like clothes and, golf clothes would be fine, or, chairs like I had in there would be fine. But, nothing that's perishable, like you were saying.
All right, well, that's really interesting. I'm going to show the folks now the rest of the data. Thanks again, Gregg. Nice job, as always. Hey, Gregg, this is awesome and very intriguing. So let's take a closer look at the 2 trips that Gregg took and the temperature variances along those trips. So here's my initial note that I got from Gregg, and I think you're going to find the analysis extremely interesting. It all started off, he says, Rick, based on a recent trip, which I had some objects in the rear trunk of my C8, I found that they were extremely hot when I arrived home, so I decided to try a little experiment. This past weekend, we took a road trip, and I set the car up with 5 temperature probes with the data collection device by Fireboard. Now, the readings may or may not be 100% accurate, but you can certainly see the trend. My feeling is the temps aren't that far off, given that I checked them with an infrared thermometer before starting.
So we're getting ready to leave. The indoor temperature on here is the actual temperature that this thermometer is reading. The outdoor temperature is a probe that's in the frunk. And I'm going to take a couple of temperature readings on the probes just to verify. So this is the right probe. This is the left probe. This is the left lower probe. And that's the right lower probe.
All right, so let's look at part 1 of his test. This first day, approximately 185-mile drive, estimated 3 hours. Outside temperature, when he left, was 73 degrees. Relative humidity at 55%. So here's a chart from that first drive, and you can see from the chart that the maximum temperatures were not achieved until approximately 30 minutes into the drive, and then fell sharply approximately 30 minutes later, and then leveled off. Gregg said, I can't think of why this happened other than some additional cooling kicked in on the C8 as the temperatures remained fairly consistent throughout the rest of the trip until we actually stopped where it shot back up again. Also, what is interesting is the temperature in the engine bay dropped below the temperatures recorded in the trunk area the majority of the trip. And here's another graph that Gregg made for us showing you the average temperatures in each of those 5 probes that he'd set up. And his conclusions? Well, this was a casual drive on the freeway, not much pushing of the car. In fact, a good portion of this drive was with the cruise control on. The lower passenger probe measured over 100 degrees for a total of 30 minutes and temps in the 80s and the 90s for almost an hour. Similar reading on the other probes, which confirms my initial thoughts that it gets hot in that rear trunk. We all know that the engine bay is going to get hot, but what surprised me is that it peaked dropped off, and then leveled off. I attribute this to the casual driving on this leg of the trip. All right, guys, our Coffee with Conti show continues. Thanks again for joining us. And I think the data that Gregg has gotten for us here is simply fascinating. So let's take a look at his drive home. And he said for this drive, we left late afternoon and the outside temperature was 87 degrees. Remember, on his first trip, it was 73 outside. For this drive, we took a canyon drive from the coast and then down along the coast for a good portion of the drive. This drive was a much more spirited drive, and I believe the data in the chart below supports this. This drive had much higher temperatures and peaks as I was pushing the car, and I guess I should have expected this, but I was still surprised. However, the temperatures again here in the engine bay dropped sharply, indicating to me that some additional cooling was going on. Now look at this graph. This is the average of that second trip, and you can see here that the engine bay got as high as 153 degrees. Gregg said, what I found interesting here is that the average in the lower passenger section was higher than the engine bay average. I'm not sure what's going on in that part of the trunk. My conclusions, as you can see, the max temps are higher here, which can be attributed to several things. Number one, the outside temperature was higher at the start of the drive. Number two, we've been driving around at different locations before starting the temperature recording for our drive back. And number three, the drive was longer, and as I mentioned, more spirited driving through the canyons as opposed to a more straight freeway drive heading out. I would like to do a similar test on the front trunk. We'll try to grab that for you guys in October. Gregg, fascinating data. Thank you so much for sharing this. In fact, I'll make a PDF and there'll be a link down below in the description if you'd like to study it a little more closely. But I took your data and had a little fun with it.
Hey kids, your new Corvette is more than just a cool sports car, it's an awesome cooking machine. That's right, it gets so hot back there, you can make all the American favorites. Hamburgers, tacos, chicken. You can even roast marshmallows in the back of your Corvette. But leave the ice cream up front. Now check this out, kids. Get the batter, mix it up. Close your hatch, drive at 100 miles an hour for 3 minutes, and you can bake a cake. Little Susie's Easy Bake Oven has nothing on your C8 Corvette. What's the C stand for? Convection.
Hey, you know what? I've always got to take something and find a way to spin doctor it, still staying on point for Corvette, and have fun with it. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Hey kids, we're off tomorrow, no uploads tomorrow. Got a pretty demanding schedule on Tuesday. I hope we're able to put together a Tech Tuesday for you guys, but share this video, tell your friends, subscribe to our channel, thumbs up the video, make comments down below. All the stuff that you normally do. Thank you for that. Basically, just have a fun and a safe Labor Day weekend, and I look forward to seeing you guys soon.
Hi, this is Gregg and John from California,
and you're watching
Rick Conti's Corvette Vlogs.
Anybody want any of this before I do the thumbnail?
Go for it.
Sure. You hungry?
It's all ready.
I know. I gotta get it. Gotta do it like this. Gotta run down my arm, so. Oh shit. Let's do it. Do another one. And I'm trying to think of another pose. One more. Oh, man, drop it. Just want to get that effect. Ice cold. One more. Okay. We're done. Nah. I can't stop the camera. Vanilla bean. Ah, it's on my pants. Dang it. Behind the scenes. The thumbnail is the key to get you guys to click and watch, although it can't tell the whole story of the entire video, but I think today's was effective, don't you? Thanks, guys. Well, hang on a second. I got to get my camera. Hang on.
It's because it's still on fire.
Okay, go. Look back at me. Perfect.
He's like a little kid with his first fish.
Oh, and a special thanks to our friend Chuck over there for cleanup on aisle 5. That was fun. All right, don't stand around looking dumbfounded. All right, so we got done with the bit, and everyone's like, what are we going to do with the cake? Nate said we should hit Chuck in the face. What do you guys think?
We're going to eat it.
I like hitting him in the face better.
I'm going to eat it,
like
whether you
hitting
hit
him
me
in
in
the
the
face
face with it or...
What do you, better be careful, I'm on the hold and I'm going to get it in the face.
Yeah.
All right. Hope you guys enjoyed that bit and the analogy and how hot it actually is in the back of your C8 Corvette. All right, now what?
Let's take it and cut it up and eat it.
Okay, he really doesn't want to eat it. Okay, bye.
Hey kids, your new Corvette is more than just a cool sports car, it's an awesome cooking machine. That's right, it gets so hot back there, you can make all the American favorites. Hamburgers, tacos, chicken. You can even roast marshmallows in the back of your Corvette. But leave the ice cream up front. Now check this out, kids. Get the batter, mix it up. Close your hatch, drive at 100 miles an hour for 3 minutes, and you can bake a cake. Little Susie's Easy Bake Oven has nothing on your C8 Corvette. What's the C stand for? Confection.